Boy, did these weeks go by quickly.
It's a lot faster when you and I are not together. When we're together, they just
They
drag
drag on.
on.
That was perhaps the longest month of my entire life.
That was the longest 3 months of my life. Nah, actually,
I
you
had
know
a
what?
friend who used to say, what did he used to say? He would quote, somebody would ask how long they'd been married, and he'd say, oh, 20 years. And she'd correct him and say, no, it's been 18. He goes, well, it feels a lot longer.
Yeah, usually not a good thing to say. Not a good thing to
Uh,
say. Hey, let's do another quote today. Do you have another quote that's on your mind?
I have a quote that's a little hard. The wording's a little hard to understand at first glance, so I'm going to read it twice.
Okay.
This is from Georgia O'Keeffe,
The brilliant Georgia O'Keeffe. Yeah.
married to Stieglitz, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I decided to accept as true my own thinking. I had already settled it for myself. So flattery and criticism go down the same drain, and I am quite free.
Huh.
I'll read it one more time.
Yeah.
I decided to accept as true my own thinking. I had already settled it for myself. So flattery and criticism go down the same drain, and I am quite free. That to me is an absolutely amazing quote. Now, I imagine she was referring to perhaps her paintings, her artwork, and that she knew what she thought of her pieces. And so whether someone flattered her or someone criticized her art, it didn't matter to her.
Yeah.
She was free of the opinion of others. And it shows that she was creating for herself. She wasn't creating for some big art gallery or some art critic. She was creating for herself and she knew what she thought of her work.
And without regard for what anybody else thought about it, both good or bad.
Yeah, and that's an important part, good or bad.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Because generally when we're talking about critique, it's funny, isn't it? That's another whole thought, isn't it? When we
it
think
is.
about critique, it's usually negative. It's the reason I don't like that word and I use image celebrations. Um, Somebody in one of our sessions with out of Chicago, I had mentioned I don't like the word critique and I use celebrations, and they put in there what print reviews or something. In other
Yeah, that
words,
was Brooks. I
oh,
forget what
was
he
it okay?
called it. Yeah, yeah, I forget what he called it.
Yeah, and
But her last sentence is pretty good too. And I am quite free. How does that free you? So many of us, if we get criticism about our work, we can be hurt or we can uh, become discouraged. But also, sometimes when we get praise for our work, we
mhm.
can also be influenced. We might start thinking, wow, this is better than I thought. I should start making more of these because the audience really likes them. Or a negative comment can be, wow, I liked this a little bit ago, but now I can see it's not very good. And I think that's a terrible thing. We should settle it for ourselves. We should know what we like. We should not expect it to be perfect, but it's a stepping stone towards better work each time we produce a piece. But we should have our own opinion. I remember not having my own opinion about my work, and I would find work that was criticized, and I would do less of that type.
Interesting.
But worse, if I got praise for a certain image, I would try to produce more of those types of images. I was easily swayed by the opinion of others.
You had had a phrase that you had used, and I'm not remembering. I'm going to put your memory to test, which is dangerous. But so you had talked about praise being,
Oh, an addictive drug.
that's right, an addictive drug. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And you're right, and that's what you're kind of alluding to here, that as soon as you praise somebody for, oh my gosh, that might be the best intentional camera movement work I've ever seen. Well, that person's likely going to continue to, oh crap, Cole Thompson said that's really great. I'm going to run out and do that again and again and again. It's kind of like with a child. With my grandkids, I'm really careful when Abby, who's really incredibly creative, I foster that, not necessarily commentary on the artwork she brings me on a daily basis. Oh crap, I can't believe your use of color in that is like off the charts creative. I can't wait to see what you do with blue. You know, that's what I'm trying to do is not go, "Oh, that's a great picture." You know, because I think that praise can be like an addictive drug. I'm gonna go make another one and show Pop that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
But,
what I do.
yeah, so Georgia keeps right on the money. I mean, but Cole, seriously though, it's hard, right? I mean, how
Yeah.
hard was it for you to get after 50 years of thinking you're not making worthy stuff and you're looking for those validations and likes and I mean, it took you some time, right, to get to where you could believe that.
Well, the sad thing is because I call that my 30-year photographic wasteland. I was just
Love it.
copying and I was imitating and I was looking for likes and I was creating whatever would get me the most likes. And I needed more and more likes. It was an addictive drug. And you keep getting more and more, but you never become satisfied because I was trying to please others and I didn't know what I wanted. So it was a complex process, but the real key for me, once I found my vision and I was comfortable of what I wanted that image to look like, it doesn't bother me when someone says, well, you need to open up your shadows. No, I don't need to. This is how I like it. This is how I see it. You shouldn't center your subject. That's how I like it. That's how I see it. So once you become confident in your vision, it's much easier to shrug off the comments of others
Yeah.
because they're giving advice through their vision.
Yeah. Through the way their rose-colored glasses, if you will, and the way they see the
Yeah.
world. So great quote as usual. Keep those quotes coming. I love them. I think they are great fodder for discussion, which is a good thing. So hey, I know it's going to be a long week. See if you can tolerate, not having me in your life every day until we meet next week.